I think we're all having a lot of that shared experience. So, conflict is going to show up in some interesting and different ways, probably for a whole host of us, myself included here. What we're recognizing here at the center is that it's going to keep manifesting itself in ways that we're familiar with, and it's also going to show up in some different ways.
So today we have Moonwater from the Whatcom Dispute Resolution Center. And welcome, Moonwater. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Moonwater, tell me a little bit about some of the things that your organization does outside of coronavirus time.
Absolutely. What we're largely focused on is conflict prevention and conflict intervention. So really our organization exists to serve our community and help folks have difficult conversations, build skills to navigate through conflict and disagreement in healthy and constructive ways. And so we offer a whole host of services that are really designed and geared to help people wherever they're at whatever stage, whether it's preventative and building those skills to support effective communication, or whether people are in the midst of some kind of conflict and they need some help figuring out how to navigate through it. And we try to meet people anywhere they're at on that continuum.
Yeah. So I imagine that in this time and during pandemic and all of the stay-at-home orders and everything, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of need for conflict resolution. And maybe that's people that are just locked in the same house with each other, and there's some ongoing things that are coming out now that they're confined. But what are some of the things that you're seeing or anticipating throughout this pandemic?
Some of the calls that we've received already have been around new kinds of conflict that are showing up in families who are trying to navigate residential schedules and parenting plans and trying to honor these stay-at-home orders, and at the same time trying to figure out how they can safely transport their kiddos so the other parent can spend some time with them, and then having some concern around how and if the other parent is using the same safety measures that they're using in their own home. So different kinds of conversations are happening right now around safety and visitation. And then there's the day-to-day conflict that families are experiencing as well. We're all in this heightened state of stress and anxiety. And so things are showing up unexpectedly, I think, for folks as well.
Now, you've been able to pivot your services a little bit so that you're not offering in-person consultation or mediation anymore, but how have you been able to sort of bridge that gap and bring things into the virtual world and to still maintain that presence and that help in our community?
It's fascinating to me because everything that we do is so focused on human connection, and generally speaking, those in-person conversations and the value of that face-to-face connection and being able to have helpful conversations with one another. And so, we recognize that conflict is it's not going away, and in fact, it's showing up in new and different ways. And so, it felt really important to our entire organization, our board, and our staff that we figure out how to pivot really rapidly so we could continue to be a service to the community in whatever way people are going to need us in the coming weeks and months. What we did is we set staff to work on taking each one of our primary service areas, so looking at mediation, supervised visitation, facilitation, coaching, and training, and getting those up and running on online platforms as quickly as possible. So we have our mediation services are up and running through an online platform. And so we're able to receive calls and inquiries from folks, and our case managers will field those calls. And then we've got mediators who are equipped to mediate virtually. And we've got the systems in place now on the back end to manage that process with sharing of confidential documents and being able to draft agreements. And so we've already hosted a handful of mediations, and we absolutely want the community to know that we're available as a resource for any type of conflict that they've got, they can call and we can do an intake for them and actually help facilitate that process. And then we've also pivoted on our supervised visitation. So for parents and kiddos who need some additional support and structure to be able to connect safely, we're able to do that virtually now. So people can call our supervised visitation staff and we'll walk them through some intake and get them involved in the program and support them to be able to stay connected virtually during this time as well. And then we also have pivoted on our conflict coaching, which hasn't been too much of a shift because much of our coaching happens over the phone anyways. But if people are experiencing some kind of conflict at home and they need a sounding board, someone other than the other person who's at home with them, they can call our case managers and we can talk with them and just be a listening ear, because sometimes we just need to be able to step back, take a breath, hear another perspective, and give that communication another try. And so people can call us for that, even just a free confidential conversation. If you need a listening ear and some assistance navigating some conflict that's come up, call us. And similarly with facilitations. So we've got some group facilitations scheduled coming up, and we know that work teams are trying to navigate through a variety of different new and unexpected challenges in this time. And so folks can also call us and we can assist with virtual facilitation support services for conversations that folks are needing to navigate through. And so we're really trying to tackle each one of our services, pivot them, and we want the community to know that we're here to continue providing the support that we've been providing. We hope to be able to have some of our trainings and workshops online soon as well, as professional development for folks, as opportunity just to build skills that you can use with your kids or with your partners. So we're working hard to get that up and running too.
Awesome. Are there any tips that you could share with us, or things to consider for kind of DIY mediation at home in these higher stress situations that you want to maybe leave some people with?
Sure, absolutely. I've been putting these to practice myself too. So they're tried, true, and tested. What is that? Um, I so a couple things come to mind, and this is just a little bit of a sort of free association in my mind of what I've been drawing on most recently. But uh, one thing is to maintain awareness of our own physiology, right? So we all go through these cycles of stress, and right now we're all, I can't, there's probably not a person in this world that's operating in our sort of most balanced, grounded state, because every single one of us is experiencing this very similar common stressor. So we're all operating that heightened level of stress, and that heightened level of stress impacts our physiology. We can feel it in our body in different ways, and it impacts our cognition as well, so the way that we're thinking and talking with others. And so we're all in that more vulnerable state right now, so giving ourselves extra grace and space, recognizing that we're all in that same boat, and knowing what our own responses are to stress. So if you start to feel that anxiety even more profoundly and present within your body, taking a couple moments to take some extra deep breaths, because oxygen helps to dissipate that adrenaline and cortisol that causes that stress. So literally, stepping into a room by yourself or outside your front or back door if you can, taking some deep calming breaths will help you get back to that some semblance of a level space. Being able to be aware again of the escalation of that physiology. So where are you at when you're just feeling sort of slightly irritated? Where are you at when you're feeling quite escalated and triggered? And so the more aware you are of those initial warning signs of that lower level anxiety, the faster you can kind of tune in to yourself and use effective coping mechanisms for yourself. So if you can exercise right now, exercise. If it's listening to really awesome music that you love, listen to that awesome music that you love. If it's giving yourself, some space just to, if you need to lock yourself in the bathroom right now, lock yourself in the bathroom and take some deep breaths and come out when you're feeling calmer. If you need to sit in your closet, go sit in your closet for a few minutes. So just give yourself some space to be flexible, to tend to your own physiology, because when you can help calm yourself, you can show up as a pillar of support for your family, for your kids, for your partner, for your coworkers on, that next Zoom meeting, in a little bit more of a solid place. The other thing that comes to mind, so that self-care is really important, that awareness of our physiology. And then one of the other things that's really struck me is how dependent we are as human beings on routine and habit, and that routine and habit gives us a lot of comfort. And for all of us, that routine and those habits has been dramatically interrupted. And that happened so abruptly. And so that can feel really destabilizing and cause more stress. And so the other thing that comes to mind for me is the importance of establishing new routines and new comforts during this time, because that will help us individually feel more grounded. If you are living with someone else, it can help that other person feel more grounded. And if you are living by yourself, establishing routine with some friend or family member who's outside your living space, whether that's a regular check-in call once a day, or a couple times a week, reaching out to help others set a routine for yourself, can bring some of that comfort back. So grace and space to ourselves, working to stay calm, exercising flexibility and patience, and seeking some routine right now. And those kinds of things will help us navigate these really uncertain, unsettled, and sort of unsettled times. I think with with as much groundedness as we could ask for in this moment. I mean, this is just a hard time that we're all going through.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can really resonate with the routine and needing something new when everything has changed and now you're sleeping in the morning and your routines are totally thrown off. So those are some great pointers there. Thank you for sharing that. So how can people support the center right now, and what is your biggest need and what would you encourage the community to do?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. This is such a difficult time for our entire community. And so, we have, as a nonprofit organization, we are dependent upon a variety of different funding sources to be able to keep us going. And so some of those we're not able to access right now. And so we're trying to pivot our services to be able to actually access some of those funding sources. Other things like some of our events, we had a bocce tournament that was slated for coming up quite soon, actually, this coming weekend, and we needed to cancel that. So we've had to really step back from the things that we had been dependent upon before and try to get creative and see what that means for us, because it's our intention and our desire to stay viable and continue to be here as a resource for folks. So, folks are hurting right now. We fully recognize that. And I think there's a variety of ways to support the center that range from, we still welcome community contributions. If people are in a financial position to be able to support, they can mail a contribution to us or go to our website. But we recognize that that's a hard ask right now, and a lot of people are hurting. And so, we've been more active on social media. So we encourage people to check out our Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter, and use the tips that we're putting out there, share those tips. We invite people to share the awareness that we are open and available to provide services, to use our services, and to invite others to reach out to us if you hear that conflict is happening and people need some support. Let them know we're here. And our vision is for Whatcom County to be a place in which people are able to approach conflict in creative and healthy ways. So, one big way that people can support us is to focus on approaching conflict in creative and healthy ways. And then they're living and breathing our vision. And so if you can do that in one moment, in one interaction with, with your kiddo or with your partner, then you're joining with us in helping to move that vision forward. And we're seeing that in local media. The way people are coming together to collaborate and support one another is just phenomenal and outstanding. And the level of creativity and compassion that is being exercised right now it's truly outstanding. And so I think keep doing what you're doing is what I'd say to folks, and know that we're here to support, and we'll be here to support you.
Awesome. Well, that's a great spot to end, I think. And thank you again for your time here. I'll go ahead and put some links in the description below to the website for the Whatcom Dispute Resolution Center, Facebook, and all of the other social channels that you can support them at. And yeah, thank you for being here, Moonwater, and for your time and everything you're doing in the community.
Thank you so much, Josh. Likewise, it's lovely to talk with you.